Francie Nolan. Thanks for visiting my YouTube channel, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Today's edition, we're going to discuss what happened in my life that is portrayed in the story by Betty Smith. So the story starts on a typical Saturday afternoon. Me and my brother are doing some chores for our mom, and then I stop at the library and pick up a book to read in the fire escape, and I look out among the tree of heaven, which is my favorite tree. I live in a pretty rundown part of Brooklyn, and my dad's an alcoholic, so that leaves my mother to make all the money for our family. So then there's a flashback, and we get to see my dad, Johnny, and my mom, Katie, meet, and eventually marry 6 months later and have me. My dad comes from a pretty weak family, and my mom comes from a pretty strong family made up of Austrian women. So after me and my brother Neely are born, my family goes through a lot of struggles with poverty and hardships. And my dad becomes even more alcoholic, but my mom stays strong and makes a lot of money for my family. This is when I start school, but I don't like it because I'm treated unfairly because I'm poor. Then I transfer to a new one where I'm treated equally. This is when the flashback ends, and sadly the audience becomes aware of all the different ways that I've lost my childhood innocence. The scary run-in with a sex offender, and I start to become really ashamed of my alcoholic father and what he means to our family. Sadly, my father ends up dying, and this changes me a lot. I stop believing in God, and I start to fill my journal with a lot of sad and somber entries, and all the earlier journals that I had written, which were very happy, I burned. However, I'm still very sensitive and care for my mother. At my 8th grade school graduation, I received flowers that my mom gave me, and she told me that my dad had saved up money so that in the future she could buy those flowers for me on my graduation day. And at this moment is when I fully and properly grieve the death of my father and all the different ways that I've lost my childhood innocence. After 8th grade, I start working instead of my brother to support our family, and I don't get to go to high school. Finally, I meet a young lad named Ben Blake, who I think is going to be the one. A nice gentleman named Sergeant McShane asks my mom to marry him, and I get to go to the University of Michigan. At this moment, I'm fully and ultimately free from the life of struggle and hardship I had in the past. Here are some journal entries done by me to show the analysis of my character. I love Brooklyn. I love it so much. Brooklyn is a place where I can dream and be happy. I don't even realize how much poverty my family lives in. I love doing Mama's chores, reading books in the fire escape, and observing the tree of heaven. I don't think I'm ever going to get sick of this. I can't believe it. I was so excited to start school, but I realized I don't like it. The teachers don't treat me fairly because I'm poor. The only friends I have are books. That's okay. I love books. Papa died. I can't believe my papa died. I don't know how I'm going to survive. I hate this notebook. I'm going to burn it. I don't even believe in God anymore. I don't know what I'm going to do. Mama chose Neely to go to school instead of me, and now I have to work. This pressure is too much. I shouldn't have to support my family. I hope I'm not stuck in this life forever. I did it! I got accepted to University of Michigan. I can't put my happiness into words. And now I'll be able to go since Sergeant McShane can pay for my college. And Ben gave me a promise ring. Before I leave for school, I'm going to go to my old place and say goodbye to my past. My favorite tree keeps on growing, just like me. One very important theme in A Tree Grows in Brooklyn is the fact that education is very important. Johnny and Katie instill in their children's lives that receiving an education is the only escape from poverty. Francie even uses books as a sort of escape, and they become her only friends. Francie is ultimately free at the University of Michigan. Gender roles also play a very important part in this book. The women in this novel are more equipped to handle pain than the men are. Katie is very strong, works multiple jobs, and makes all the money for the family, while Johnny is very weak and an alcoholic. Neely is sent to school instead of Francie because Katie knows that Francie will find a way back. Another important theme is perseverance through hardships. The Nolan family keeps persevering even though they have serious struggles with poverty. Francie goes to school and finally escapes when she's at the University of Michigan, and Katie never stops working to support their family and keep them on their feet. The last theme is the loss of childhood innocence. As Francie grows up, she learns more about poverty, class, status, gender, and sex. Poverty becomes less friendly to Francie. She used to rejoice in little material things, but she turns very angry when her father dies and sees the uglier side of poverty. Hi, I'm Francie, and welcome to today's video. We're going to talk about some important quotes that are said in the novel A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Some people called it the tree of heaven. No matter where its seed fell, it made a tree which struggled to reach the sky. It grew up in boarded up lots and out of neglected rubbish heaps, and it was the only tree that grew out of cement. It grew lushly, but only in the tenements district. This quote is important because it introduces the tree of heaven, which symbolizes a source of happiness and escape for me. It is hope for all the poor people who live in the tenement district and tells us that class and poverty are going to be important themes throughout the novel. It was the first of many disillusionments that were to come as our capacity to feel things grew. This quote is significant because it symbolizes me losing my innocence after I go through a lot of struggles and hardships throughout my life.